What's up, you guys? It's your boy Chef Tone from Keep Me Cooking Chef, and the ingredients I'm gonna give to you for the recipe today is moving on. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, and I think I can talk about a lot of things about moving on. And I did a recipe before about moving forward. That is a totally different thing. Moving forward and moving on is two different things. Moving forward, I was talking about don't let nothing stop you from moving forward in your life, obstacles or anything like that. Moving on, I'm talking about the things that you can't let go. I'm talking about hurt and pain in your life. That's what I'm talking about today. And I'm talking about moving on. Give me 1 second. A reason why some of us are stuck in the place that we are, and the reason why we can't get ahead in life is because we won't let go of things. We won't move on. And I'm talking about from relationships to families to friends to jobs and all kinds of things. You know, I can sit up all day and tell you the things that I had to move on from that I could not really let go of those things. And I didn't know why I couldn't let those things go. But we're going to talk about it. And that's what I'm going to talk about today is, it's just moving on. And I'm going to give you some examples about moving on because there's a lot of us that's still stuck because we don't know how to move on. I'm talking about from baby daddies to baby mamas, you name it. It's a lot of it going on out here. I know a few people, they still stuck in their life because they can't move on from what has been in their past and they're still holding on to it. I'm going to give you a few personal things that happened in my life. When my wife passed away, I got married at a young age. I was in love. I loved my wife. I really did. We were married for some years, and she passed away abruptly. Just passed away, and that was a woman that I cared very dearly for, and I was in a rut for 2 years. 2 years I was in a rut because I wouldn't let it go. I had this ring that she gave me because when we got married, we both got matching rings. Okay. And so I had lost my ring. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it nowhere. So she got this little black band. And in the middle of the night, she put it on my finger. And she said, I got something for you until we find your ring. And years later, I did find my ring when I moved. I found my ring. But that thing, when she passed away, what she gave me was sentimental to me. It was so sentimental. It was just like I wouldn't even take it off my finger, And I was in a rut for like 2 years. And her mother, I would always go see her. And one day we were sitting up there, and she called me up and she said, I want you to come over and help me with my bathroom. I said, okay. Tile, something. She had bottles of wine. We sitting up there getting lit. I'm putting the towel down and everything. And when we finished, she said, let's go sit and talk. I said, okay. So we sat down at her table and she talked and she said, I want to tell you something. And I said, okay, what is it? She said, after the day, I don't want you to come to my house anymore. And I was like, what? She was like, I don't want you coming to my house anymore. And it kind of like broke my heart because I'm like, what did I do something wrong? She said, no, you ain't do it. You ain't did nothing wrong. She said, but your wife ain't here. And you're not doing anything with your life. You're wasting away. And I started crying. I'm like, well, why I can't come? She said, because you attached yourself with me because I was the closest thing to her. And you won't move on with your life. You don't date. You're not talking to nobody. You'll call me every day. She said, I can tell you to do anything, you'll do it. She said, and I don't want you to be like that. She said, she's gone. She said, and she's not coming back. She said, but you stopped your life because you cannot move on because of the pain and the hurt and the attachment that you had. She said, and I know it's hard. She said, but if I keep allowing you to do what you're doing, she said, I'm not helping you. She said, so what I need you to do is, I need you to not come over here. I need you to be at home so you can figure out what you want to do. She said, because as long as you come over here, she said, I'm nothing but a crutch to you. And that was the most hurtful thing that anybody has ever said to me, that hurted me real bad, but she told the truth. That's what I was doing, because they were so alike and they were so together all the time that when I was with her, I felt like I was with my wife. And, you know, I did a little crying, whatever, went home. And I was like, well, you know what? I need to take a trip. So I went to Laughlin. I was like, okay, I'll go on a date with somebody. So we went to Laughlin, going on the boat ride and everything. And I was on the boat ride and I had my hands on the rail, and I promise you, I was looking in the water and the ring broke and fell in the water, and I started screaming. I was like, oh my God, stop the boat, you know, and I was finna jump in the water for that little plastic thing. And when they grabbed me, I was screaming and hollering, and they pulled me back. I realized that her mom was right. I couldn't move forward I couldn't move on because I couldn't let go of her. I couldn't let go of the things we've been through and all of that stuff. I still have those memories, but she's not there. She's not there. So it was a challenge for me with that. And once I realized where I was at in my life and where she was at, I can't get to her. She can't get to me. So why am I still putting myself through that? And I had to move on. And it was very hard for me to do it. So, but I did it slowly. I started going out. I started talking to people because I shut myself down for 2 years. Once I started getting out there and moving on, the more I moved on, the less and less that pain, the anxiety, all of that stuff began to go away, you know? But as long as we stay in that place where we can't move on, we're never going to see the full potential of our life. We're never going to see it. We're going to miss out on opportunities. We're going to miss out on people that actually can love us better than the love we had before. And it's true. We need to move on from the things that I know that's no longer there for us. Whether it's still here or not here. If it's not for us, then we need to move on so we can live our lives. Because as long as you're holding on something that ain't holding on to you, you ain't doing nothing but hurting yourself. That person is not hurting you. You're hurting yourself. I was the highest paid executive, black executive steward in Las Vegas. And that's the honest truth. I got the paperwork to back it up. Because it was unheard of for somebody to make as much money as I was as an executive steward, being a black man on the strip. And that is the honest truth. I put it in the video before, and it's the honest truth. I made a lot of money. When I took this job and became an executive, I became an instant celebrity. You want to know why? It's because it was unheard of for them to pay a black man that much on the strip. They don't talk about it in the news or nothing like that. But it's true. They did it. And for me to make, because of my talent and because of my background and my resume, they wanted me. They wanted me bad. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be like the rest of these guys. I was like, no, I want you to pay me what my worth is, And even the other executives at the casino was like, you should do it. Pay them. And they did. I had that job, and I'm telling you, that was the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. I'm going to tell you why. The reason why it was the worst job I ever had is because I was not prepared for it. I wasn't prepared for what came with it. I was prepared for the job. The job I could do very well. That was no problem. Hell, I was doing better than what most people expected me to do. But what the problem was the perks that came with the job that I wasn't prepared for because I never had it like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was almost like I was celebrity wherever I went. When I went to board meetings, when I went there, I was always the attention because they couldn't believe that a person like me had made it that far, rubbing elbows with guys that, that was like in prestige positions. And I was being invited to places that most executive stewards never got invited to. Every party I was invited to. I got, everything was free for me. Shows, food, everything. Everybody giving me a card. Hey, if you need anything, call me. I'm like, damn, this how it is? But the thing is because it was almost like I made it. Like I got over the hump of us being underrated as black men to make good money and be in high positions. I set the tone. I set the example. I'm not saying there wasn't executives, but there were executives, but they wasn't making what I was making. They wasn't getting invited to what I was getting invited to. Everybody liked me. And as I sat and did that, I was getting everything I wanted. I'm telling you. There were women coming at me. There were people coming at me. And it was like everybody coming at me like they want to see this guy. It was like, this guy making that much money. He in this position. He doing this. Because it gets around the casinos. It does. These casinos talk. And people are like, who just got that job at the Mirage or got that job at da-da-da. And it was like, and everybody knew my name. So what I sat down and I did at my desk in my office was I heard this voice that said, you need to move on from this. This gonna be your downfall. This is what's gonna destroy your life, because even though you wanted it, you wasn't prepared for what came with it. I didn't look into that part. I just looked in the job and did the job, but I didn't look at what came with it. I didn't study the other executive lives, what the pitfalls of the job was. And as I sat there, I didn't want to let that money go. My checks, I can't even begin to tell you what my checks was looking like. I have never seen a check that big in my life, one check. What I made at another job in a whole month, I was making in one check. And I was like, what the, I ain't quitting this. But as time went on, I can see myself going downhill, not in my work life, but in my personal life, because I wanted it all. But I wasn't prepared for that. But I knew I had to give it up because eventually it was going to be my biggest downfall. And I didn't want to move on from that. I didn't want to let it go until I had this long conversation with God. I don't know if you believe in God. That ain't my business. I hope you do. But I know I sat down and had a long talk with him. And I said, I can't let go. I can't let this go. And all he kept saying was, let it go. Just let it go, son. Let it go. And I tell you, to this day, I am so thankful that I let that job go. I moved on from it. That was hard. That was hard. I don't know too many people that would have did that. I don't know too many people that would have did that. But I knew that I was not ready. I was not prepared. Everybody else thought I was because of how talented I am at doing the job that I'm qualified to do. But I wasn't ready for the perks that came with the job and how freely things were for me. I don't want to be that free. I don't want to be that. I wasn't accountable for anything. Everything I said, people did. I controlled everything. Nah, yeah, whatever. People were calling me that has been in the job 10 or 15 years for my advice. Man, can you help me with this? So I thought I was a king. And what I did was I didn't prepare myself for it. But one thing I knew I had to do, I had to move on from that. Because it was I was for it, but it wasn't for me. So when I did that, I had so much pressure on my chest. When I finally made the decision to leave, it was gone. And I said, I did all that struggling, all that stressing, when I could have just let it go. And I did. And a lot of things that we hold on to is not good for us. It's not bad keeping memories. It's not bad holding on, holding on to tangible things that someone gave you. But don't put your life into it. Don't put your essence into it. You understand what I'm saying? When my divorce, when I went through my divorce, that was like, it was horrible. It was horrible. I don't ever want to go through divorce ever in my life, ever again. The next woman I marry, I ain't divorcing her. She gonna have to kill me. And that's real talk. Because it was horrible. It tore up my heart. It confused my mind. It turned me into a person I wasn't. I was hating. I was angry. I was bitter. And then by them taking everything from me, when I didn't deserve that, that really made me angry and bitter. And so I became this wild man. I became this wild man where I didn't give two shits about nobody else's feeling. I was dogging women out. I was doing all kinds of stuff. I didn't care about nothing because I couldn't face the fact that this ended. I couldn't face the fact that this person took this from me or did me this way when I was trying to do it the right way. There's no right way going through a divorce. It's just not. I'm going to just keep it 100 with you. There's no right way going through that. There's not. But I tried to do the thing that a man would do is like, hey, you don't have to fight me for nothing. This is what I have to offer. And let's do it the right way. But because of that person's bitterness and angry, I didn't know what that person was going through. I was only thinking about myself. But I can't get mad at them because I had to put myself in their shoes, what they're going through. And I didn't look at that. They're probably mad. They're probably bitter. They want revenge. They want this. They want that. So when I went through that, I held, what do you call that? A grudge. And I'm not a person that holds grudges. I'm just not. I don't go out getting revenge on people. But I carried a grudge because I couldn't move on from the fact that that happened to me. So I had animosity. I was still angry. Even years later, I was still angry because I wouldn't let go. I wouldn't move on. And you know what it did? It caused a lot of problems in my personal life. It caused a lot of problems in my relationships because they're like, you still love that woman? No, I don't give a fuck about that lady. Da, 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 da. But I didn't move on from what was done to me, which I felt should not have been done. And I couldn't move on because I still hold on to anger and frustration. I was still holding on to it. It took me years. And I finally got to a place, and I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about this before. I finally got to a place where I said, I gotta let this go. It's eating me up. And I couldn't move on. But when I did, I learned a valuable lesson. What don't make you won't break you. And what breaks you will make you. And that's the truth. That is the honest truth. And I learned to move on from something that has no attachment to me anymore. I learned to move on from something that is not leading in my life anymore. I learned to move on from something that has absolutely nothing to do with my future. So I had to learn to move on from that. And a lot of women have bitterness behind they baby daddies. They do. A lot of men have business behind their baby moms, and I hate saying that, but it's true. A lot of divorced people, they're bitter. And you know who suffer? The children. And that's the honest truth. The children suffer the most behind you not moving on. They do. Because you have grudges, you have animosity. Because you can move on from something and don't deal with it no more. And even if you have to deal with it, you just deal with it differently. Any of my children's moms that I moved on from, I don't have no problems with them at all. I don't get in their lives. I don't tell them what to do. I only concern myself with my children. That's it. I ain't their friends. I ain't their buddies. If they need me for something, they can call. I'm there. If my kid is acting up and they need to call me to straighten them out, I'm there. If they need to discuss something about my kid, I'm there. But as far as the relationship, as far as what money they getting, what they got going on in their lives, their friends, how their days going and all of that stuff, I don't give two hells about none of that stuff. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Because when you start getting involved in that stuff, you still gonna have an attachment. You cannot move on with your life. And ever since I cut myself from that to not make sure I interfere in their lives, we don't have any problems. I'm not going to court. I'm not going back and forth with them on the phone. I'm not calling them B's and H's and all of that. They're not doing that. It's like, hey, you know what? You got a few minutes? Yeah. Can you talk to your son? Your daughter wants this. Your other daughter need this. Your son need it. Oh, okay, no problem. What I can do is I can do this. I might not be able to do it today. I can do it tomorrow, or I'll pick them up on Thursday, or I'll have this, or what what I can do. Let's go half, and I'll give you this, and you try to figure out how to get the rest and stuff like that. We can go from there. That's how my conversations go. And I encourage every man to have that conversation when things don't work out and things separate. Man, let that person go. Let that person live their life. Let that person go on about their business. It don't matter who still love who. If it ain't worked and it's separate, go on, leave on. You might still have feelings. You may still have something there, but it's time to put that in check and move on with your life, because you still have a life to live. Just like they still have a life to live. And when you can't move on, if you're not going to fix it and make it right, all you're going to do is keep bringing each other down. Both sides have to agree on that. Because if not, neither one of you will be able to move on. You won't. And I see a lot of this. A lot of people attached to people they shouldn't even be attached to. There's a lot of things that people attach to that these things you shouldn't even be attached to. You can't move forward in your life because you're still doing this. You got a job that ain't really paying you that well, but all your friends is there. You can do whatever you want to do. You can come in anytime you want to, but it's still hindering you because you can get a better job because of the history you have and the knowledge that you have and the experience that you have. You don't want to get a better job that will better your life, making more money, because you can't let this job go because all your buddies is there. You can't let this job go because you know what? You can kick your feet up every now and then. You don't really have to do that much work. Or you learn the job so good in the back of your hand so you can do it in your sleep. But here you making $11 an hour and there's a job you can get $18 an hour, but you can't move on because you can't let this go. Because you're gonna got too comfortable and too attached to it. Learn how to detach yourself from things so you can better move on and be more productive in your life. I'm not saying to move on from things that's not hurting you. I'm telling you to move on from things that are hurting you. Things that not making your life better. Things that's not being productive in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's friends I had to move on from because they meant me no good. We still was friends, but they always had something going on in their life. And then I got to get involved. I got to be there. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then they start bringing the mess to my house. And I'm like, and it's like you get yourself so caught up, then they calling you, you can't move on with your life because you too busy helping this person with their life. When I say moving on, I'm talking about the things that affect you, the things that have hurt you, the things that have brought sorrow in your life, things that have broken your heart. Sometimes we can't move forward because we've lost a loved one and they were so detrimental to our lives. But what you got to realize and understand that they're not there anymore. And it's nothing wrong with hurting. It's nothing wrong with that. But you can't stay stuck in a place because they're not there anymore. Yes, they made life easier. You were comfortable. They loved you like nobody else. They treated you kindly. And now you don't have nobody else doing it. You can't stay stuck in one place because somebody else is not there. Do you understand what I'm saying? My father left when I was young. I needed him to guide me and show me how to be a man if I have questions. But my dad was gone. And I'm still holding on to that, with crying. Like, I wish I had my dad, still holding on. I can't move forward because I don't know how to be a man. Because my dad wasn't there to show me because he passed away. But when I came to realization, my dad ain't here no more. He cannot help me. As much as I love my father, he ain't here. So I got to look to someone else to help me with this. It's no disrespect to my dad, but my dad ain't here. He been gone over 30 years now. So I had to learn how to be a man through other people and other means. Even though I miss him and wish he was there, I had to move on. It's like, my dad ain't here no more. That don't mean I got to forget him. I got to lose the love that I have for my dad, but he ain't here no more. And a lot of us fall short because we dedicated to somebody that's not here anymore. We trying to uphold something for somebody that ain't even here no more. I'm pretty sure if they was alive, they would love and respect you for giving them the respect. Or the family love the respect that you have for that person. But what is it costing you in your life by not moving on? You don't have to forget anything. But don't allow that anything to be a barrier in your life where you can't move on. There's going to always be disappointments in your life with people. Always. But you can't let that stop you from moving on. As bad as you want that thing or that person to be in your life, to be there because you have grown so attached to it or grown where you love this so much, if it's stopping your growth, if it's stopping you from being who you are, if it's stopping you from thinking that you could be a better person, it's time for you to move on. And a lot of us don't know how to do that. It's because we think that if we make this move, we're going to lose this. If you have fear from something that's in your life and you're scared to move on because of that fear, you need to get rid of it. You need to get rid of it. Moving on is not an easy thing to do, but it's a necessary thing to do because you still have to live your life. No matter what the case, if it's divorce, friendship, family, children, whatever it is, a job, money, a home, a dog, a cat, whatever the thing is that's stopping you from being happy and stopping you from moving on towards your dreams, you have to let it go. Just let it go. And your body will heal itself. Your heart will heal itself. Don't ever think that you cannot heal. I've lost people that were so close to me, I never thought I would heal from it. Never thought. I never thought I would, but I did. And the reason why I did is because I said I need to move on. And as you move on, over time, you will heal. Time will heal you. Because you think about it less. It becomes less and less a burden. Some nights you may be stronger than others. But over time, you will heal. You will get better. And if we don't let go of these things that is not allowing us to move on, we're hurting ourselves. And not only are we hurting ourselves, we're hurting the person or the thing that we have. Because you're trying to hold on to something that really ain't trying to hold on to you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are we holding on to something that we really don't need in our lives? And we do. We hold on to houses knowing we can't afford it, but it's a beautiful house. But it's killing you. And you got to go from this 5-bedroom to this 2-bedroom. You got to get bunk beds. But if you move in a 2-bedroom, you can live better. You can build yourself back up. But if you stay in this 5-bedroom, you barely got enough money to feed your kids. And you stressed out all the time. Yeah, you look good. Everybody giving you congratulations. Everybody saying, I wish it was in your shoes. But you don't look at the stress and the harm that you're doing to your mind and your body and to the people around you. Learn how to move on. And when you learn how to move on, is mean learning how to let stuff go. Let it go. Do you understand? I see people, and it's a true story. I see people riding around in cars that I wish I had. And I know for a fact that they're killing themselves just to keep it, just to ride around so people can admire them. That's some stupid ass shit. I'm telling you, I did that before, and I'll never do that again. There are people riding around in cars that's killing them to keep. And the only reason why they keep them is so they can be admired by others. And they're struggling, wearing themselves down. You got to move on from that. Because I tell you like that, I got rid of my car and when it paid cash and I ain't got no car notes on nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. I moved on from what I had because I had a lifestyle where I had nice cars. But I'm like, man, I'm always getting nice cars and it costs me insurance, $300, car note like $300, $400, $700 a month just to ride around this car. Now I really don't ride around in. I just park it and hang out with everybody and everybody's like, oh man, your car nice. I'm paying all this money just so you can tell me that? Come on. The car I got is just as comfortable as the other car that I was paying all that money for. Trust me. It's called moving on. Move on to things, bigger and better things. I'm not saying you have to deplete yourself, but if you have to go backwards in order for you to go forward, then take that step back. Moving on is not always moving forward. Moving on is mean sometimes you have to take a step back. You got to get out that big house. You got to get rid of that expensive car. You got to quit that job that's killing you and getting you away from your family and destroying your family. Do you understand what I'm saying? Moving on don't mean you always moving forward. Moving on means you take the best course of action to better yourself, to make yourself better, to be a better person for you and whatever you moved on from. That's what I mean when I'm talking about moving on. It's not always something that's going to hurt you, but it's going to cause a change in you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Moving on is not a bad thing. It's not. It don't mean you disrespecting somebody. It doesn't mean you forget about them. It's just meaning that you have a life to live and you need to live it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And when people see you do it, it can better help them because you're not the only person that's going through stuff. So when you move on from that big house that was killing you and get a more less expensive house which you can afford and a car that you can afford, and now you let go because your husband done died and you getting yourself back on track, other people see that because you're not the only person that's going through stuff. Somebody else may be going through it. They see how you do it. It may help them. But we kill ourselves by not letting these things go and not moving on. I can tell you story after story of how I had to move on from things that I didn't want to move on from because I got attached to it. out of fear. I thought I needed it. I had to have it. And we get like that, especially in relationships. We get like that. We feel like if we don't have that person, we ain't going to be able to live. Come on now. I know somebody out there understand what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about moving on, I'm not just talking about relationships. I'm talking about things that are blocks in your life of what people have done to you and what people have been there for you, or things that you have lost. Do you understand what I'm saying? Moving on is letting go of things that is holding you down to keep you from being the happy person that you really are. That you really are. And that's why you have to forgive people and just move on. Even if they don't accept it. Even if they don't care about it. Let it go and move on. Because when you do that, your life will be a whole lot better. So I hope I hope I helped somebody with that, with moving on, because I had to do a lot of that, and I'm glad I did, because it got me to the place that I am right now without all the burdens and all this stuff in my mind. And I really want you to take a look at moving on from them things that really don't mean anything in your life, or really are holding you back, or really hurting you. Let them go. Move on. And see how better your life becomes. It might be hard in the beginning, but as time go on, I promise you, it'll just get easier and easier. So I hope I've been helpful for you. This your boy Chef Tone from Keep Me Cooking Chef. And I'm going to holler at you guys on the next recipe. I want you guys to like and subscribe. I'm going to throw a couple of this on Facebook. Man, come on, guys. Come on and give me them likes and subscribe. Come on and see what I'm talking about. Check out the other videos, okay? And I'll see you guys on the next recipe. This is your boy, Chef Tone from Keep Me Cooking Chef. Peace out.